Hey guys, so I've been reflecting on 2023, and I'm sure you guys have all written some cool new goals that you want to get achieved for 2024. And goals are really important, but it's also important to think about what spaces you'd like to create and how you want to fill that space with meaningful time. What am I blabbering on about? I'm going to be walking you through this values discovery custom GPT that was built by my friend and previous employer, Joe Edelman, who is behind the Meaning Alignment Institute, a group that are using moral graphs. These are graphs of human values to align artificial intelligence with human values instead of user preferences or other ways of revealing your true desires, like your goals. Goals don't tell the full picture of what's important in life, and we need better ways of articulating what's meaningful. And if we have that, we can align artificial intelligence around it, which is pretty nifty. So in this video, I'm not going to be getting too much into the Meaning Alignment Institute's work. I'm actually just going to be reflecting on some of my values that I've started to lean into or want to lean into for 2024. And what's really fun about values is that they're not particularly fixed. There is no sort of one set of true values in the world, or the Christian or the Muslim values are not the values. There is wisdom at the local level and through your life experience with all the things that you have to grapple with. And my values have been updating over time, and there's things I value now that I didn't value before or are different. And what am I looking at this year? So I've basically got these like really large words, but I'm going to pick one of them, which is grace. It's a really vague value, right? We all say things like we value honesty, and honesty is clearly important to us. But the kind of honesty that you care about and the kind of honesty that I care about are very different. And the type of grace that I like is very different too. What you mean by grace or belonging, there's nuance and specificity to that I want to get to. And previously we used to do this whole process, which I'm about to do with a custom GPT, manually. This was a user research process, which myself and other folks who are working at the Meaning Alignment Institute, when it was called a different name, we used to do this one-on-one as user research on calls with people to try and help them uncover their values. Now they can just speak to a custom GPT. Kind of wild. So I'll just go through articulating my values. If this is helpful and meaningful to you, pull up this custom GPT, and hopefully you can articulate some values for 2024 that you want to build more space around and spend more time living by. So, grace. I want to choose, help me clarify a value I have. Say that I have this high level value, which I've called grace. The situation it arose in was mainly in my work context. It was a way I was approaching challenges, but achieving a certain type of balance. So yeah, last year was kind of hectic. I was getting a lot of stuff from 0 to 1. I was doing a lot of invention and generally, jumping at multiple different things. And it felt like I had to throw a lot of energy on to pull together the kindling. And now I'm trying to find this way of, fanning the embers, if you will. So this GPT is basically helping me clarify that high level word grace. And you can put whatever you want in here, but let's dive into this. It sounds like grace is a meaningful concept to you, especially navigating challenges of your work life. When you talk about approaching challenges with grace and achieving a certain type of balance, what does that look like for you? Can you describe a specific moment or action where you felt that you embodied this value of grace? What were you paying attention to or prioritizing in that moment to maintain that balance? So a specific moment was when I started a new company called Company. I trusted my team members, their skills, both at work and interpersonally. They were easygoing, but could get shit done. It's a type I'm paying attention to, trusting in the relationships I have to create things I want to build in the world. If anyone knows me, I started another company midway through this year, and we've managed to raise some good investment for it. It felt pretty effortless, but it wasn't effortless because I didn't do the fundraising. Shout out to Scott. But Scott was very good at fundraising, and I was happy to do all the product. There were very competent developers, Hunter and Andre, who got this off the ground, and it just felt very graceful. And now I need to figure out like what that is. It's quite meaningful, and I want to keep this in my work relationships going forward. So starting a new company is definitely a moment where grace and balance can play critical roles. It's clear that trust and effective collaboration are important to you. When you think about trusting your team and building these relationships, what aspects of trust stand out? Is it their reliability, their creativity, or perhaps even the communication between you all? What do you look for or feel when you know that trust is present and flourishing? All of the above, really. Creativity, reliability, and communication. What do you look for or feel when you know that trust is present and flourishing? Guess I feel at ease, that there's clear boundaries. I look for signs that we're all excited about the project, and that, what else do I look for? That there's clear division of labor and we're all in our zone of excellence. I think this is quite important. There's a sense that while there's grace, it only comes if certain things are in place, and if I can attend to that. When I don't attend to that, it is devastating, because you start noticing that you might have hired someone wrong, you might be working with the wrong people, you might even notice that you might overly trust someone. And there's also a sense of like excellence. I feel like I'm not bullshitting myself, and that I see the reality of people's skills and not letting sort of fantasy guide my choices. I see clearly into the relationships. Let's see what goes there. There's a lot of complex stuff there, but I hope, super intelligence is as super and as intelligent as it says it should be. Great. It's great to hear about how comprehensive your approach to trust and teamwork is. Focus on creativity, reliability, and communication. You're cultivating an environment where everyone feels at ease, clear about their roles, and excited about their work. Very good. This clarity and honesty with yourself and others about skills and contribution seems pivotal. True. But that's not all of it, right? It's not just about the communication and being clear. There's something more here, but I need to tease it out. When you think about these moments of clarity and honesty, about seeing clearly into the relationships and not letting fantasy guide you, what kind of attention do you find yourself paying to ensure that reality is maintained? For example, are you actively seeking feedback? Are you observing team interactions or reflecting on past experiences to give you understanding? How do you maintain that zone of excellence for yourself and others? I'm definitely paying attention to previous experience, and I'm also actively asking the team about what the project needs in order to succeed, and what resource we're lacking, be it capital or skills or conviction or etc. What kind of attention do you find yourself paying to ensure this reality is maintained? We've been able to use data to inform our direction, and this has led to clear business outcomes, which further proves my trust and makes things feel graceful. Oh, I'm starting an action. So I believe this is when the action happens, and Joe and the team must have written a really fancy function. Sign in with tools.meaningalignment.com. This wants to talk to this. Okay, let's sign in. I cannot. Here we go. That should be up. Already had a username. And an email to grab that. There we go. And we are back. Great. So I've just had to sign in to the tool that was made with OpenAI grant money for the Meaning Alignment Institute, and it looks like it's talking to the tool. I've created a values card for you titled Graceful Leadership. It reflects the attention you've described, paying to past experiences, team dynamics, data-driven insights, and honest assessment in your professional journey, all contributing to what you've termed grace. Here's the values card for Graceful Leadership. You can view it and see if it captures what you've been feeling and thinking about grace in your work context. Would you like any changes to this card, or does it resonate with the way you've experienced and cultivated grace in your leadership and team interactions? Also, remember, values like these serve as powerful touchstones. They can guide decisions, shape cultures, and even inspire others when shared. They're not just personal, they're a way of connecting and leading. with others. What do you think? That's really fun. Let's have a look if I can click there. Love to check that out. And I believe there's a tool here. Have a look here. Open that up anymore. Cool. Some note body. If I can't click that myself, then I'm going to just view it in here. Let's read through some of this text. So we've got note body. Entering a new venture by starting a company, the user found grace in the balance and trust within the team dynamics. They focus on leveraging each team's members' strengths, ensuring, yep, sounds spot on. Great. Title, Launching with Grace. Note type, it's a choice. And the card is a set of attentional policies. And this is what we mean by values. They're really policies which guide awareness to certain choices. They're not about the outcome of the choice themselves, but really what is the reason why and behind the choice that's meaningful. So past experiences that inform current decisions, team dynamics and individual contributions, pay attention and policy or attention to being data-driven, and also honest assessment of skills and resources, the instruction, which is short, reflect on past experience, engage with team dynamics, use data for decision-making, and honestly assess the skills and resources. This is something that's true. We can give it some other potential titles. Navigating with grace, I think that's true. Trusting the process, balanced leadership, and the general title is graceful leadership. I think that value card works. Like if that was to guide or to be held up to, future, let's see if I can grab all of that, to my team. If it was also to be held up in, any documentation we were using, that would be great. It would be great in recommendation systems where I could say, find me other team members who really value this thing. Find me new folks to connect with and support me in, maintaining this value, right? It's very easy to lose your values over your goals. So I think that's pretty spot on. There's still something missing, which I think is a different flavor to this, or at least is in a different context. So this is grace as it is in the professional context, or at least my definition of grace as I experience it now and what I want to cultivate more of. And in the future, I'd probably record a video of me doing grace, but in my sort of social and friendship groups, there's a certain way that I don't want to feel, that I find it very meaningful to be. There's a type of easygoingness with my friends and not over-scheduling things, not under-scheduling things. So I could apply this and work with this custom GPT to find new ways of articulating that, but in a different context and get a different card, which would then contribute to this underlying social graph, moral graph, not a social graph. And have a go with that. There'll be a link in the comments below. And do check out the work of Joe Edelman and friends. I was previously engaged with the project in a different version and sort of different mission statement, but the new iteration of this organization is very exciting and made even more exciting with the fact that that whole process is now possible through a custom GPT rather than one-to-one user calls. And in fact, I think it's more effective because when you're articulating something like your values, you don't want another human who could potentially judge you, or you're scared of sharing a very intimate piece of information with, or you might, warp your version through what they say, the researcher says. I think this actual you reflect in a journal style or a note entry style is the most effective way of articulating values, or the most effective environment to articulate your values. You could augment that by bringing it to your friends and saying, does that feel accurate for me? Get some insight. But then again, I think you're sort of bringing in these things that could pollute that. So really just doubling down and keep drilling into these values. I'm going to do this multiple times with this custom GPT, and I encourage you to do the same for 2024.